Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Well, my guest this morning, Mr. Tosin Akonde, he's a lawyer and public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming on.
It's a pleasure, sir.
Indeed, and Mr. Chuks Nwoko. Mr. Nwoko is a publisher, MDG, magazine, and he's MDG Millennium Development Goals magazine, and a social commentator as well. Thank you very much for coming.
Sustainable Development Goals.
Indeed, indeed. If you go further than that, you will pay. But thank you very, very much, gentlemen. We got that out of the way.
Thank you for having me.
A conversation we've been having since last week. We did it. It's a conversation that comes out in various sort of outlets. And we're talking about. It culminated in the news yesterday with the Senate threat to impeach the president. Something of a joke too far, according to one caption in the paper. And now the ruling APC has coming on the matter and has advised the Senate, counseled the Senate to just stop it, just stop threatening the president. This whole business about the president was in some way behind the trial of the Senate president and his deputy for the alleged forgery of standing rules. The APC was clear that Mr. President has nothing to do with that, and it's about time we just got on with the work we need to be doing instead of all these distractions. But if I could start with you, Chuks, the whole idea of bringing up that threat, I don't think it's to be taken lightly. Yes, we're calling it a joke too far because, that's what our people say. This handshake is beginning to pass elbow. The fact that that somebody, and let it be said, it was just maybe one person who decided that he could say it. But hopefully we can't see the Senate in that light. Do you think there's a difference between the Senate and the people, or is it a lot more amorphous this time around with this kind of threat coming from the Senate?
First, it's reported to be a joke. I do not see any punchline in that joke that can amuse me or that can cause me comic relief. I do not see that punchline, But it just shows how much we have lost as a people. We have lost so much in terms of resources, time, energy by these misguided individuals that we voted for to go to the National Assembly at our own cost. And that's what we get. So, whether it's a joke, whether it's not a joke, we are the losers because we pay their bills, we sustain them. They're talking about immunity, they're talking about pension. All of those things cost us as a nation huge amount of money, resources. We take care of them.
Indeed. And so
that is what we get from those group of individuals that we voted for. And we need to begin to examine our mind. It was Chinua Achebe that said it, that when a handshake passes the able, you know that there's something.
You know that there is something
some problem
afoot.
That is my opening remark and my take.
Indeed. Well, Tosin, when you look at it, how did we get to this stage? The flippancy of it all. The Yoruba say, "Iyamidaku aifishere." Of all the jokes, you never joke about the passing on of your mother. That is a joke in very, very bad taste, and nobody will take it from you.
Right.
So the Yoruba people have that expression, don't they? I'm sure there are equivalents in other languages as well. Right. And now, going to the whole matter about compromise or dialogue, or the jugular. Doesn't this suggest to you that, well, maybe I shouldn't phrase the question like that. I just think something has broken down in the whole attitude we have to politics and governance in the country.
Oh, thank you. I think first and foremost, I need to reiterate the fact that it's quite unfortunate that we have someone in the caliber of Senator Dino. I think it's Melaye. Shouldn't be Melai, but some people have been giving him that benefit of that, probably his English name or something. So, but truth be told, as a first approximation, let's disabuse the tension over this statement. This one, he made about 3 unguarded remarks. The first of which is this threat that he's going to impeach, or going to join
that they moved to impeach the president.
To start with, Nigerians, we have to be wary of extremism. Some people have said on the social media that this is treason or something. I'm here to, at least with all modesty, educate the people who are watching that there's no treason yet he hasn't committed any treason yet. To commit the offense of treason, as outlined in Section 37 and 38 of the Criminal Code of Nigeria, you must have levied war, physical war. So that physical element is required. So no treason yet. Having said that, now the issue of is going to impeach the president, Nigerians seem to have forgotten. In the days of Gali Umar Naba, we call him the Gallivanting Gali. You know, we had such calls too against former President Obasanjo. We're going to impeach him, we will make the country ungovernable. So politicians are used to that. So let's just look at them, like Fela said, and go our way.
Okay, so, well, I hear you. One should not be unduly distracted by them.
I think that's what Dino wants. He wants to curry attention every time, whether for the right or the wrong reason. So we need to help him to stay in where he belongs. Okay, and the uncouth language that was reported, that we're not even going to repeat on this program.
We will not.
You know, speaking to a fellow senator and a lady for that matter. It just leaves such a lot to be desired and begins to point at the type of legislature troops that we have got on our hands. I don't know, is maybe going forward, you know, we're still on this topic, but going forward, is there anything to do to prevent that kind of, certain kind of individuals? It is only God that sees into a heart of man, we know. Human beings cannot. But generally, is there no procedure for us to be sure that when you go to such high office as the presidency, being a governor, being a senator, being a representative, we at least can sleep with both eyes closed, knowing that a certain level of decorum can be taken for granted.
Please, I'll ask you.
Sorry, you know, it's going to come back to you.
It's okay.
The way to go is what we're already doing, provide education for our people and tell them this thing that is going on, that is not the best that we can get, especially those that voted for Dino Melaye, like he said, and all that. That subsequently they should not vote for him. That's where to start from. But generally speaking, these misguided individuals that we have, they are not the best that can come from the constituencies. But because of the political recruitment processes that we have in our nation, that's how some of them crop up. That's number one.
Political compromises,
yes,
horse trading, and that kind of a thing.
People,
you know, repaying political debts.
Absolutely. Then secondly, we need to recognize that hunger and poverty has always been around. Growing up, my mom used to say to me, if I send you to that place, if you go there and they're eating, act like you have eaten. We took pride in not having plenty, but being contented with the little that we have. Because it's poverty that will make a group of people to take rice and tomatoes from this fellow and he's in that place. Number three, I was saying to you in my opening remarks that how can we recoup what we have lost by sustaining people like Dino Melaye in the National Assembly? It is because we have not taken into recognizance how much as a nation we have lost. That's a man that probably will be married to somebody's daughter. I will advise my children not to marry a man who carries on and who acts like that. The scripture says that as a man thinketh, so he is. He said those things that he said to that woman and to the hearing of other people there, because that's who he is. Now, no nation, no family, no individual prospers acting and thinking the way that young man behaves. It's not today that he started. He's always been like this from in the last few days, in just 3 days. I've done a research. I've called my Kogi friends, those that went to secondary school. In fact, I called somebody who was his teacher in secondary school, who works in this Lagos. All the people he went to school with. He's a character that is known to some people. Okay, he became known to us because he got to the National Assembly. But I'm just saying to us, all of us, that we must be careful people that we vote for. I voted for Buhari because I have followed his antecedents and I'm attracted to him by his nationalistic tendency. I don't know what is attraction to these people who are voting for this young man. But what to take away from what I'm saying is that the way a man thinks, that's the way he is.
This whole brouhaha came about from the case against the principal officers in the National Assembly, I would guess. The allegation of forgery of the standing rules that ended up in Senator Bukola Saraki emerging against the will of his party as the Senate president. Now, I suppose it's part of what you're saying that we shouldn't be distracted. I think it has been reiterated, even since the outburst, that there is no going back on the trial, you know, of the Senate president, of the Senate president and his deputy.
And the former CNA.
Yes, indeed. For them to at least, you know, go before a court
and prove their innocence.
and prove their innocence.
It's very simple.
And it is on public record, it is well known that this matter emanated from within the Senate.
That's right.
And so there's no going back on this matter. It doesn't matter if all sort manner of uncouthness has been foisted upon Nigerians. I suppose it is the one can't negotiate or compromise under these circumstances. Do you think they leave the executive very little choice, as a matter of fact?
Well, as for me, I am pained particularly by a remark you made earlier that we've talked about this abnormality. We shouldn't even talk about it again. We should talk about it, and I have my reasons. I'm not particularly angry at Dino. I'm more angrier at the Senate leadership. Look, to be in that house...
For not calling the place to order.
One. Two, for not exercising discipline, proper, thorough discipline on someone considered by many to have erred. Now, in advanced democracies, and I'm sure we have it in Nigeria too. Mind you, I worked in the National Assembly for about 8 years.
And I think you lawyers talk about silence. Is it lawyers or people that silence is, you know, I mean...
Silence means consent.
Yes.
Especially where you have a duty to talk.
Yes.
One. Two, now, it's very clear. There is what we call Ethics Privileges Committee. That subcommittee in the Senate and in the House are supposed to handle affairs such as this. It is a given that if you are a member of a house, you are expected to have certain, you know, qualities above board. How much less the Senate, which prides itself as the upper chamber. That means the level of...
And it's supposed to be full of distinguished legislatures.
Senators. Now, this is an undistinguished demonstration that happened right in the face of the Senate president. I want Nigerians to understand something. True. And it's playing out in a very funny way. Even though members of the National Assembly seem not to be aware that they enjoy the conventional, you know, parliamentary immunity. It's conventional, upon which once you become an elected member of House of Reps or a senator, you enjoy conventional parliamentary immunity. Worse still, in the Nigerian scenario, worse still because we even codified it. There's what we call LIPA, Legislative Immunities and Protection Act. And Privileges Protection Act. It's codified. You can't arrest him, for instance, for certain utterances. But he has taken it too far. And that is why the Speaker of the House or the Senate President is in a position to correct him. One, through suspension. In advanced nations like the UK, for instance, they can expel. But unfortunately, we can't expel them in Nigeria. The only thing that is a threat to them is the recall clause, which some of us have even started asking that it should be revisited. The recall clause as it stands is a serious problem for the Nigerian people. If not, we'll continue to witness this kind of show of shame. The recall clause in Nigeria, as it stands right now in the Constitution, says about 3/4 of the people who voted have the right to recall. Now that is a misgiving. That is not a legal possibility because human beings are known to enjoy freedom of mobility, freedom to move from one place to the other. What you are saying now is that those who voted, if they have moved out of that area, that means those who are presently there now cannot do a recall. It is wrong. And the law has been said never to ask for the impossible. Yeah. Am I making some sense? Yes. So we need to revisit that recall clause and make it 3/4 of those who are presently in that place. And not 3/4 of those who voted. Because before you have 3/4 of those who voted, you need to go and see INEC officials first and get the register. It's not done. Certain people would have left.
Indeed, it's complicated. You just we're talking about this yesterday.
That is why this recall clause has to be revisited to put these people right on their toes. For instance, it is the House of the National Assembly that has the 4-year mandate. I hope you are aware, and not the individual members of the Senate or not the individual members of the House. So that is why it is possible if, having gone through the trials of post-election, what have you, they come. If it is 6 months left, you spend the 6 months. It's an eggshell theory. You take your victim as you find it. So you are not expected to come and say you have another 4 years. No, it is the House that has 4 years. In the same vein, this recall clause I'm shouting right now so that I'll be counted amongst those who stood. We have to revisit it and ensure we amend it. They would not like it, and they are the ones who must carry it out.
Yes.
No longer 3/4 of those who voted, but 3/4 of those who are right there in the populace.
Thank you very much. Because if we were able to get there, where you know, Tosin is suggesting, then perhaps the cumbersome nature of the whole recall process would be reduced.
You keep them right on their toes.
So yeah, exactly, right
Keep
on,
them
their
on their toes.
Now, one thing that you see, we've had all sorts of politicians through the ages. Just listening to Senator Dino Melaye and the rancor that goes on, I was even reading somewhere that a lot of those kind of incidents happen behind closed doors anyway, that the public never gets to hear about. But in this case, the matter was leaked. Maybe this was because it was a joke too far, and we'd never gotten as far as this. It even got to the level, if we understand it, if we are to believe reports, that the distinguished senator actually lurched at the other senator, and it was other people who had to come in between. Now, how it is conceivable that we are talking about the National Assembly is a totally different matter. But this does remind me of Wazir Ibrahim. I'm thinking of politicians through the ages. Wazir Ibrahim of GNPP back in the day, remember? Great Nigeria People's Party. The politics without bitterness apostle.
Absolutely.
But suddenly it's become a matter of do or die. Apologies to former President Obasanjo, who brought that whole thing into our lexicon. It's a do or die affair.
That's right.
Are we going to have to continue like this in your mind, do you think? That it's a bitter field and people go into it. Are we not going to ever achieve what we see abroad that we admire and model ourselves after? The picture of Cameron carrying his own cardboard box out.
Absolutely.
Even if it was a photo op, the symbolism of it.
I think we are close to that situation where...
You think?
Yeah, very close. And I will explain to you how I think that we are very close to it. Nigeria do not have the resources anymore to sustain the lifestyle that we live as a people, and especially the National Assembly. So one of the things that I think should happen, if we go with the enthusiasm and passion that he is displaying here, if I join forces with him and all that, one of the things we should be campaigning and be doing and be talking about is how we will shut down one of the arms of the National Assembly. Because common sense tells us that we cannot sustain that business. We cannot. So we should be looking at unicameral national house or National Assembly, if you like. That is how we're going to get there. When we come to our senses, where we recognize that you do not have the resources, you do not have the money. Nigeria, I mean, before we came on air, we were reading a portion of the newspaper that was saying that Nigeria cannot sustain the budget because we do not, and I don't know how to say it anymore. Maybe you help me say it in Yoruba. We do, as a nation, we do not have the resources that can enable us continue to live the way we have lived in the past.
And so inevitably we're going to have to cut our coat according to our cloth.
Well, we might not be ready now, but I sit down here and I see that picture of Cameron, and I see him resign, and I see the attitude of the people, and I'm telling you, the reason why they live the way they do is because they don't have the resources. We are almost there.
Okay. Mr. Dede, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning to the panelists in the house.
Morning to you,
Good
sir.
morning.
I would not want us to take this impeachment as a joke too far, as the APC has claimed. Because what does it take to impeach the president? 2/3 of the National Assembly, a concurrence by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, who will set up a committee of people. And from what I can perceive so far, I can see that more than 2/3 of this National Assembly are very angry with the president. Why? Because he seems to have taken the spoon out of their mouth. Before now, we used to have them share money regularly, get their Ghana must goes regularly. But this president has refused to do that. He has refused to feed them. And they are very, very angry with him. And even the Chief Justice of Nigeria, I do not really believe that he will be on the same page with the president, because it seems, the way I looked at the judiciary, from what we can see so far since the inception of this administration, are not ready to fight the cause of corruption. Look at all the corruption cases that have been put before them. nothing conclusive has been done. It's either injunction, ex parte motion, all these. So the judiciary is not in concurrence with the president. So they too will be happy to see him go out.
Well, okay, Mr. Debbie, thank you very, very much for calling in. Let's examine that the people are hurting. He said it. There's no more careless money all over the place. And when you strike a person in his pocket, that's when he notices whatever his ethnicity, his religion, or suddenly the pocket is the most important thing.
Correct.
Well, what do you think of that particular theory? And do you subscribe to the idea that the president has many quote-unquote enemies because the free ride, he's behind stopping the free ride?
Well, I beg to differ a little from that from that position. One, I am no longer at the National Assembly, where I would have had first-hand opinion and information on what's really transpiring between the presidency, and we need to separate, and the National Assembly on the one hand, and between the presidency and the leadership of the National Assembly on the other hand. That is very instructive, so Nigerians should take note. But, you see, for me...
Could I beg your pardon, could I interrupt you? But I want you to
Yes,
hold your thought.
Yes.
Just hold the thought,
It's
because I'm
right.
going to come back to you. Blessing has called in from Okwebi. Good morning, Madam Blessing.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Yesterday, just unfortunately, I cannot get through.
Okay,
Because
thank
I
God
want
for
to
today.
correct an impression. The first time that you raised that this issue of Saraki came up, I said it on this program. I said, when people were in the campaign from PDP, then there were no problem because election is coming, because we want PDP out of the scenario. Fine. Now, you know that the same people that they are corrupt from PDP, they now come to APC. What did you expect? Immediately when they did the abracadabra and this Mr. Senate President became Senate President, the APC supposed to stood their ground immediately and remove it, but they didn't do it. When the first allegation came up, they said he didn't record his property. There was nothing that we did. The whole stand in Nigeria, they went to court. That is when you know that problem is coming. And this issue of impeachment, we should not joke with it. This set of people in the Senate, they will do it. The only thing we should do now is that, please, 2019, all Nigerians, we should open our eyes. We should know that we don't have leaders that have our interests. We have leaders that they fight for their pockets. They want their money. Now, as everybody is complaining in Nigeria, are they not receiving their salaries? Did any one of them go back to the people that voted them and said, come, since you don't have money, this is what we have, take out of our money. But when election is coming now, they will buy Keke Marua, they will buy this and this. The same Keke Marua that they will tell us that we should not enter, we should not fly on the road. But because they know that the poverty level is high, they will be giving us 1 derica of rice, 1,000 naira, 2,000 naira. They are collecting our birthright from us. At the end of the day, they will start now beating us. What Yoruba say, that is what they are doing us.
Thank you very much, Blessing. Thank you very much for calling in, Blessing. Appreciate your call. The self-serving aspect of the way we're going about our legislative function and governance just about everywhere is something that she's underlining and
That's
highlighting.
right.
I said I'd come right back to you.
Thank you. So, well, at the heart of my submission in this instance is that I need to let Nigerians understand Senator Dino, for instance, for making those unguarded remarks, shouldn't be allowed to just go like that.
Yeah,
There can be some kind of
suspended.
cry. Yes, there has to be some kind of cry.
Because
on
if you
the,
did that
on
in
the
an office,
party leadership,
if you did that in an office,
yes,
of course you're out of a
on
job.
the Senate leadership, to ensure he's suspended. One, I remember this same Dino when he was Honorable Dino Melai. All thanks to Dimeji, though he's no longer in the good books of many Nigerians, but he suspended him for months. Then I was at the National Assembly. We went strolled by his office severally, and we laughed at him because his nuisance value is not in the least marginal.
And then this kind of a gentleman then becomes, after being a
he
representative,
goes ahead to become a senator.
he becomes a senator.
And that is the problem. We used to ask
And in the Nigerian system, the Lord knows where else he'll be going.
That's it. No, it's about sometimes it's about the excesses
That-
of our
that
people.
is-
You know, now, if he's suspended, beyond the suspension, I actually think there are still some things that can be said about it.
But
Parliamentary immunity
I beg your
seems to
pardon,
avail
I
him.
wanted to just ask something. Is it significant that the Senate leadership has not spoken against the outrage?
It
so
is.
far?
It is. Because he is definitely acting out the scripts that the Senate leadership wants. He already said,
Okay.
he already said he will kill
I mean, I mean,
any
you wanted
anti-Saraki
to
and
say something.
Ekweremadu agent.
I was trying to collaborate what you were saying. What a lot of us who vote for people, these people don't know is that when they come to us to ask for our votes, that's one thing. What they did not tell us is the second part. Now, I'm just simply saying that for every man who comes to you, even you who is sitting down here, you know, you talk to me. Two things are on your mind, two motives. The one that you are saying that I'm hearing, plus the one that is docile. He is going somewhere. Himself and his
Quota
backers are somewhere. And that's why I always say, every time I go on TV, I'm saying that every time you see a small bird on a narrow path dancing, you just know that somebody is drumming for that
Beating the
bird.
drum.
Yes. That is what this is all about. And the danger in it is that it's Nigeria that is the ultimate loser. I said that at the beginning, and
so
we're
there's
not paying attention
and
to
so
it.
there's a sense in which Nigerians, we need to shine our eyes.
Absolutely.
We need
Nigeria
to
is the
shine
greatest
our eyes.
loser in
We
the whole
discuss
of
this
this.
every time. Look, recently,
Nigeria is the greatest loser in all of these things.
in all
that
of
is
this, the
going on.
people,
It
the
is.
Nigerian people.
If you just oppose this with what we have
Okay.
seen and we're seeing in UK, you will know that some people want to buy up Nigeria and make it their
Yeah.
private estate.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Dino Male, we're talking about Ekweremadu, we're talking about Saraki. It's beyond that. There are people that are their backers.
Yeah, I'm calling in from England.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm calling from Manchester. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, can you hear me now? Yeah, please, is a great, let me start from here. Is a total show of shame. Is a total show of shame to entire Nigeria what Senator Dino Malaye has displayed. Actually, I was one of his fans before the general election, right? But it's a big disappointment to entire Nigeria now what the man is displaying in the chamber. Fine, I want to support what the gentleman in white shirt said the other time, that the act of recall has to be seriously recalled back into our systems now. That because it's really disappointing for someone of that high office displaying total stupidity. I'm sorry to say this on air, but it's a great show of shame.
Indeed.
Please, the Senate or the both houses have to act fast on this, because this is going viral. This is not the first time, like they did say, that such is happening. Only that they were able to expose these on time.
All right then. Thank you
And
very,
on
very
the-
much,
on the
Mr.
side of-
Olanrewaju. Thank you, Mr. Olanrewaju, for calling in. I think we need to go on a break, if that's all right. Don't go anywhere, please. We'll come back and we'll continue to take your calls.